Olofi-dumare, my brothers and sisters. Peace and love. Oriire. Good tidings to you. I pray that you are feeling awake, aware, and elevated in mind, body, and spirit, wherever you are, and whatever may be happening around you. Asha'ro. If you've been studying with me for a while, welcome back. I'm grateful for your attendance and support as we travel together into the wisdom of Ifa. Homage to the one who sends and to those who are sent. Homage to Orisha and Egun. Ashe, Ashe, Asha'ro. If you're new to these video lessons, I'm Baba Umar, Oluranse Emese, member of the Isoro Traditional Council of Chiefs in Ile-Ife, Nigeria, Oluwo of the House of Umar, and Babalawo of Ile-Ife, Orisha, the House of the Mysteries of the Orisha. You can learn more about the MSA and the Isoro Council in the description section below and on our website. A link to our website is also in the description section below. Our topic in this video is Sacred Odu Eji Ogbe, the essay on humans become Orisha. So over the next several lessons, we'll be looking at a few essay Ifa from Sacred Odu Eji Ogbe. So let's start by taking a look at Odu Eji Ogbe as a whole. And then we'll go into the details of this specific essay. Bear in mind that, when you cast Ifa, cast your OB, we've talked about that. You've been through the lessons, hopefully, on Ifa Iwa. And if you haven't already, you're new to the channel, there's a whole series of lessons taking you into, your daily practice, Ifa practice, how to engage yourself, to involve yourself, to internalize the practice of Ifa. It's by going into the sacred Odus that you and I, especially those of us who are not born in the tradition, it's going into the Odus themselves is a way of getting us deeper into the cultural essence of the Ifa tradition and Ifa practice. So when we see and understand the messages that are embedded in the Odus and the essay Ifa, then we are getting closer and closer to the true remembrance and appreciation of the wisdom of our ancestors, because it's unlocked in the sacred Odu. Okay, so we're looking at Odu Eji Ogbe. Eji Ogbe, the Odu is Meiji. Meiji meaning it's a major Odu consisting of two identical marks, Ogbe above or to the right and Ogbe below or to the left. It's in the first position of the 256 sacred Odu Ifa, Eji Ogbe. The core spiritual themes of Eji Ogbe, creation and divine order. So Eji Ogbe is often regarded as the primordial Odu, marking the beginning of existence, light, and cosmic order. It is associated with Olofi-dumare, the supreme being, and represents the moment when light emerges from darkness, symbolic of the birth of the universe and indicated or reflected a truth, a process that's reflected in our own birthing process, that we come out of darkness into the light. We come out of the womb as in a state of darkness and grow into the light as we make our choices and follow our path of destiny. So Eji Ogbe, it governs the concept of destiny, wisdom, and divine alignment. clarity, truth, and purity. The energy of Eji Ogbe is transparent, luminous, thoughtful. It aligns with Otito, truth, and Imole, light. Eji Ogbe represents spiritual clarity, righteousness, Iwa Pele, and the path of divine wisdom. Eji Ogbe deals with the subject of Ori and personal destiny. Eji Agbe affirms the power of your Ori Inu, your inner head, your spiritual consciousness. This Odu teaches that when a person is in harmony with their Ori, they will prosper and fulfill their destiny. So your and my journey in Ifa is about finding alignment, harmony between our physical Ori and our spiritual Ori. That is how we prosper according to the Ifa tradition. So now we've spoken about the hypnosis of social conditioning and how we, you and I, have been deceived, indoctrinated, and conditioned to think of ourselves as less than who and what we truly are created to be. Olu-dumare, the Supreme Consciousness, challenged itself to conceive of a creation and then to incarnate into that creation in a host of avatars, you and me, all built on the same fundamental blueprint. We call that blueprint Ifa. Ifani ki isen. Ifa is not a religion. If we take it, coming up in this Western mindset, our concept of religion, based on Christianity and other monotheistic mainstream religions, we fragment religion. It belongs on a certain day. It involves a certain gap between us here as physical beings and some spiritual reality and spiritual beings out there somewhere. That's not Ifa. So we say Ifa is not a religion because we don't want to trick ourselves up by thinking of Ifa as synonymous with the structure and the intent of Ifa as being synonymous with the structure and intent of those so-called mainstream religions, okay? The dynamic part of this divine plan was that the Supreme Consciousness, Olu-dumare, decided to enter into the creation and forget, as an avatar, that it was and is the architect of the entire creation. It's you and me. We came into the world, we, as Olu-dumare, came into the world and manifested ourselves as an avatar. And then we forgot. That was by design. We come into the world to forget. It is through the window of forgetfulness that your enemies influence and even control your choices and behaviors. And it is through the wisdom of Ifa that you can deflect, block, and circumvent the tricks of your enemies, and eventually remember who you really are. Let's look at Essay Ifa to explore this point further. Eji Ogbe. Humans become Orisha. This is the first essay that we're going to look at from this Odu. Odu Eji Ogbe. Within that Odu, remember we said that there are 360 essay in each Odu. and there are 360 variations of each essay. That is to say that the Odu Ifa, the sacred corpus, is a living corpus, an expanding body of knowledge, wisdom, affording us the opportunity to come into a deeper understanding of who we are and how the universe works. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. So this essay, Ifa, speaking of the fact that humans become Orisha, reminds us that each of us is here to manifest the beauty and grace of being a human. Eniyan, chosen. Chosen for what? Chosen to be caretakers of this planet and guardians of all life that dwells on her. We'll talk more about that when we talk about the contract that we have with Olofi-dumare, the agreement that we have with Olofi-dumare to bring about the good condition. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. Aboru aboye. Orun milani. Eniyan ninindi Orisha. Orunmila said it is human beings who become Orisha. Ifa mope eniyan ninindi Orisha. Ifa knows that it is human beings who become Orisha. Ifani oduduwa tieni ri yi eniyan ninigba tiofi odara CIA. Ifa said, Oduduwa, whom you see, he was human when he did good on earth. Leyen ikure, abere si iranti re. After his death, we began to remember him. Orun milani, eniyan ninindi Orisha. Orunmila said, it is human beings who become Orisha. Ifa mope eniyan ninindi Orisha. Ifa knows that it is human beings that become Orisha. Ifani Osaka Oshere Magbo Tieni Reyi Eniyan Ninigba Tiofi Dara Siaye Ifa Osaka Oshere Magbo, whom you see, he was human when he did good on earth. Leyen Ikure Ako Kagba Remo, after his death, we did not forget him. Orunmilani Eniyan Ninindi Orisha. Orunmila said it is human beings who become Orisha. Ifa mope eniyan ninindi Orisha. Ifa says, Ifa knows that it is human beings who become Orisha. Oni Shango tieni reyi eniyan ninigba tiofi dara se siaye. He said, Shango, whom you see, he was human when he did good on earth. Leyen ikure abere si rantire. After his death, we began to remember him. Orunmilani eniyan ninindi Orisha. Orunmila said it is human beings who become Orisha. Ifa mope eniyan ninindi Orisha. Ifa knows that it is human beings that become Orisha. Ifani ohun na'aje eniyan nigba tiofi mogogbon tiosi fidara siaye. Ifa said he himself was also human when he was wise and did good on earth. Nigba topada lo sorun tiawon araye kotun ri'imo. When he returned to heaven and people of the world no longer saw him, Wonbere si iranti re. They began to remember him. Wonko kagbe iroran tiofisile. They did not forget the counsel he left behind. Nitori na eniya niningdi Orisha. Therefore, it is human beings who become Orisha. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. What is the core message here? The core message is that there is a sacred continuum between Aye, heaven, and Orun. Aye, earth, and Orun, heaven. This essay from Eji Ogbe, the very first Odu, establishes the most fundamental metaphysical principle of Ifa. Eniyan Niningdi Orisha. It is human beings who become Orisha. It is human beings who become deities. Let's translate the word Orisha to deities. Deity, a person or thing revered as a god or goddess. Eniyan Niningdi Orisha. It is human beings who become deities. In the cosmology of Ifa, Aye, the physical world, is not separate from Orun, the spiritual world. Instead, both form a continuous cycle of existence and transformation. We are here to experience existence and to transform ourselves through the process of elevating our consciousness by our choices. When you as a human being live in Iwa Pele, gentle, balanced character, Ogbon, wisdom, and Ashe, divine authority, rightly used, you elevate your essence until your consciousness becomes one with the Orisha order. Thus, divinity is a human potential, not an external gift. So we're not looking outside of ourselves for some opportunity or some entity to give us divinity, to call us to divinity. We are created as divine beings. Divinity is a natural potential of the Eniyan. That is why we are so special. That is why we are Eniyan, the chosen ones. We as a vessel, as an avatar, have been chosen to hold like a calabash, to hold the spiritual energy of the divine, and then to express it in this environment through our choices and our practices. This is a central doctrine in Ifa ethics. Perfection of Iwa transforms mortality into immortality. I'll say that again. Perfection of Iwa transforms mortality into immortality. The essay mentions revered ancestral figures. Oduduwa, the divine founder of Ile-Ife, the progenitor of the Yoruba people. His transformation into Orisha occurred through his isha'ro, good deeds, moral leadership, and contribution to cosmic order. It mentions Osaka Oshere Magbo, a lesser known but locally venerated ancestor recognized for his heroic virtue and wisdom. His remembrance demonstrates that sainthood or Orishahood is not reserved for kings alone, but for any person of extraordinary Iwa Rere or Iwa Pele. That could be you, that could be me. Shango, historical Ala-Afin of Oyo, who was later deified as the Orisha of lightning, justice, and truth. His elevation shows that powerful forces of nature can align with human destiny when channeled through discipline and integrity. Discipline and integrity. I was doing a ceremony with someone one day, with a devotee one day, and we were at a meeting, and a group of people, and putting down covers and for the tables, and putting down covers over chairs, and the wind was blowing. Oya was active, and one of the brothers was putting the cover on the table and covering up a chair, and go over here, and when he gets over here to cover this table or this chair, the wind would blow the cover off of the other table or chair, and so he's back and forth. And I said, ask Oya to chill the wind. He said, oh, okay. He went away to do something else, to get more things that needed to be set up. And so I called on Oya, and I asked her, I said, this is what we're doing, this is what we need, this is what we're asking you for. Chill the wind so that everything that we place stays in its place. By the time he got back, the wind had chilled. We have the ability to interact with the forces of nature when we are operating at the peak of our Iwa Pele, our isha'ro. Okay? So Shango is a representative of that fact. His story tells us that we have the ability to build a relationship with the natural forces and to exercise influence over the natural forces when we are aligned with the Ashe of the Orisha that control those forces. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. So by naming these individuals in the essay, Ifa grounds its teaching in cultural memory. To remember the righteous dead is to sustain divine consciousness on earth. So we're grounding this in this essay. Ifa, Orisha is Olofi-dumare. Ifa is grounding the tradition in cultural memory. Philosophically, this essay is saying immortality comes about through Iwa. Ifa teaches that the only true immortality is through Iwa Rere, righteous conduct that preserves one's Ori, divine consciousness, beyond death. When humans act in harmony with Olu-dumare's wisdom, when you and I act in harmony with Olu-dumare's wisdom, with Orunmila's wisdom, your name, your Oriki, becomes an energy vessel through which Ashe continues to flow. Your memory becomes a spiritual shrine in the collective consciousness, Akojopo Oruna Ye, where the consciousness of heaven and the consciousness of earth come together. To remember is not mere nostalgia, the good old days. It's not about that. To remember is a sacred act that keeps Ashe circulating between generations. Family line, down the family line, down the family line, generation after generation after generation. Ashe. There is an esoteric layer to the Odus, to the Ifas in the sacred Odus. One of those layers is the idea that Orisha exists as states of consciousness, not to the exclusion of every other possibility of existence. But one of the aspects of Orisha is that they represent states of consciousness. So from this esoteric Awo perspective of the Ile-Ife lineage, Isheshe, each Orisha represents an archetypical force, or ipo-imole, a purified vibration of consciousness, achieved through initiation, discipline, and alignment with one's Ori. This is why it's so important for you to have your Odu Eji performed for you, so that you know what Odu you brought with you into the world, and hopefully find out at the same time what Orisha crowns your head, so that you can begin building this sense of alignment with the Orisha, between your Ori and your Orisha, so that you can begin elevating your consciousness and moving yourself towards being a more reflective of divinity. So when Orunmila says, Motunje Eniyan Nigba Timofidara Si Aye, I too was human when I did good on earth. He's affirming that even the highest emanation of wisdom, Ifa, underwent human experience and refinement. So perfection is, I mentioned in the earlier lesson, we were looking for progress. Day after day after day, we're looking for progress. Our target is perfection, but our process is improvement after improvement after improvement. And Orunmila in this essay, Ifa, is demonstrating that. He's affirming that the highest emanation of wisdom underwent the human experience and refinement. Therefore, Orishahood is not some mythic distance or something out there, something that is achieved by someone out there or something out there. The flowering of human potential into cosmic harmony, that is Orishahood. The flowering, the growth, the elevation, the upward movement, the expansion of human potential to cosmic harmony, for us to find that which is born in us, that which is instilled in us. Divinity is what we are, and it is what we are in the process of unlocking and remembering while we take this journey in the world. I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that you're grasping this. Iwa represents a living standard. This essay, Eji Ogbe, and this particular essay on humans become Orisha, functions as a moral compass within Yoruba culture. And again, this is why I say it's going to the Odus that will allow you and I, especially those of us not born in the tradition, it's going to the Odus that will allow you and I to get a deeper understanding and appreciation of Yoruba culture. It discourages blind worship of the Orisha as distant entities. Okay. This essay what we've read here. It's human beings that become Orisha. It's discouraging blind worship. Again, getting out of that Western religious mindset. That religion, God and the angels and are out there, beings out beyond our reach, beyond us. And therefore we worship blindly. No, Ifa says, and this essay Ifa is saying, no, don't worship the Orisha as distant entities. This essay emphasizes Itan Ateyenwa, ancestral history, as living pedagogy, a living teaching method, by remembering the Orisha, calling the names of our ancestors, calling the names of the Orisha, paying homage to the Orisha, understanding the relationship between the Orisha and their particular provenance, Shango, thunder and lightning, etc. By doing that, we are actually growing into who we came into the world as and who we came into the world to become, to remember. It teaches that Iwarere, patience, humility, honesty, and service is the pathway to deification. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. So in this sense, Eji Ogbe and this particular essay from Eji Agbe defines holiness. Holiness is humanity perfected by moral wisdom. Ifa's sacred hierarchy is not divine favoritism, but the natural ascent of consciousness through ethical living. If we live right, if we live according to the protocols of the Ifa spiritual tradition, then it's natural for our consciousness to ascend to higher and higher levels of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And Ashe, spiritual power. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. So, Eniyan Ninindi Orisha, human virtue, is the seed of divinity. This is part of the theology of Ifa. Iwa Pele, the true sacrifice, the true ebo for you and I, is transformation. Any other ebo that we make, if we are not changing, if we are not expanding, if we are not elevating our consciousness, the ebo is inconsequential. I used an analogy in an earlier lesson. We said, if the king sends you to a town and tells you to do X, Y, Z, and you travel to the town, you get there, and you get, sidetracked into all the other things that are being asked of you by the people. And so you do A, B, and C, and D, and E, and F, but you don't do X, Y, Z. Ifa says, it is as though you did nothing, because you didn't do what you were sent to do. I mean, if you did X, Y, Z, and then also did A, B, C, D, E, and F, well, okay, fine. But if the king sends you to the town to do a particular thing and you don't do that, no matter what else you do, does not count as having fulfilled your destiny. Likewise, you and I are sent into the world for a particular reason. We have a destiny. And it is that destiny that we should put our focus and our attention on, fulfilling that destiny, not responding to everybody and everything that's pulling on us from the world, from the Loja. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. The Ifa ideal of self-deification. The goal of human life, ikpinuaye, is to align one's ori with the divine design, ayanmo. When this alignment is achieved, Orishahood is realized. Eji Agbe, as the first Odu, establishes that Ifa is not a religion of worship alone, but of transformation from human limitation to divine expression. That's what you are striving for. That's why you practice, study, practice, and apply the wisdom that you gain in these lessons. That's why you dig beneath the surface of what I'm saying and try to get a deeper understanding, an understanding of these lessons that allows you as an individual and your own intelligence, your own capacity to understand and to know and to apply. You study these lessons so that you can apply this wisdom to overcome your human limitations and bring about divine expression through that avatar that you are. Ashe. Eniyan Nindi Orisha. To live rightly is to become divine. To remember rightly is to keep divinity alive. Ashe. Ashe. Asheo. Remember, if the content of this channel is helping you to grow, then the law of reciprocity says that you should in turn help the channel to grow by clicking the like and notification buttons, subscribing, commenting, sharing, so that others can also benefit from the wisdom of Ifa. I read each of your comments and really appreciate your insights, questions, comments, and expressions of gratitude and encouragement. It means a lot to me that you participate with me on the channel. Participate with each other. Also, remember, your comments can be read by other members of the channel. Okay? So this is a way for us this is a community. We want to grow together in this process. We're taking a journey together into the deeper understanding of Ifa. And we have to do it this way because, again, we're not in the tradition. We weren't born into the tradition. We didn't start getting exposed to these deeper insights of Ifa, as children. Look to your right, look to your left, look in front of you, look behind you. Ifa is all around you if you were born in the tradition. But if you, like me, were born in the Western society or in some other society away from the tradition, and you're coming to it now later in life as a young teenager, as a young adult, as an adult, as a middle-aged person, as a senior person, whatever age, whatever the circumstances of your coming to Ifa, why are you here? Why are you on this channel? Why are you listening to these videos? Not just to listen, but to listen and then grow from the process. To listen and become something more today than you were yesterday. And I love and appreciate the opportunity to be a partner with you in your spiritual growth and development. So stay with me, continue to take this journey with me. We want to go through a host of sacred Odu. We won't do, obviously, all 256, but I have a lot of Odus that I've picked out that we'll take time to dig deeper into and hopefully extract from those Odus deeper wisdom, impactful wisdom that will make us more rooted in the Ifa spiritual tradition of Orisha and ancestor worship. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. Ki Olofi-dumare Orisha ati egun fifune ni itona imoye ati opo ire. May Olofi-dumare Orisha and Egun bestow on you guidance, wisdom, and abundant blessings. Ifo kanbele, peace of mind from Olofi-dumare. Alafia ati Ife, peace and love. Ajo lo, ajo bo. We go out together, we return together. Ashe, ashe, asheo.